3 more funerals were held for victims of Palestinian violence while Rabin was away, soldiers caught in a Hamas ambush in the Gaza Strip. Still, the agreement signed in Washington suffused Rosh Hashanah with hopeful anticipation. Not just for a new year, but a new era. Newspapers printed for the holiday, with more sections than on any other day of the year, included pages and pages of speculation about the potential dividends of the peace deal. The Daily Ma'ariv ran a large map showing roads Israel might soon build from its main cities to the capitals of Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. Yediot Ahronot published a section in its business pages titled Peace and Your Pocket: Investments, Prices, Real Estate, Markets, Restaurants. Rabin had told reporters on the way home that he spoke by phone to other Arab and Muslim leaders who might soon forge ties with Israel. A headline on his return announced that the foreign ministry was hoping to recruit more Arabic speakers for possible postings in the region. Other issues occupied Israelis as well. The country would soon be marking 20 years since the Yom Kippur War, a surprise assault by Syria and Egypt that killed thousands, and for a few critical hours appeared to threaten Israel's very existence. In a front-page story, Yediot Ahronot published long excerpts of a new book by the man who had served as the head of military intelligence during the war, Eli Zeira. His assessment at the time, that war was improbable, accounted for the government's disastrous decision not to call up army reservists ahead of the invasion. Also on the front page was a prison cell interview with a convict named Ofnobank, a serial bank robber whose motorcycle getaways had made him something of a folk hero to Israelis. In one of the inside sections, a feature story described the changing sexual norms of Israelis. For women, the ideal male was no longer the coarsely textured hard charger, but the sensitive type, with a strong feminine side. Yet somehow, Israeli women felt simultaneously drawn to and contemptuous of this new man. Jewish New Year is not the carousing party night that December 31st is for Americans. Israelis tend to spend the evening with family, and so, as the sun dipped into the Mediterranean, Rabin and Leah headed across town to the home of daughter Dalia's in-laws. The idea that the Prime Minister faced some new danger to his life for entering into a peace process with Arafat would not seriously dawn on the people around him for some time to come. Instead of summoning his driver, Rabin was in the habit of driving himself to private events on the weekends, protected by just a small security detail. Yigal Amir read the newspapers that day with a sense of scorn for the optimism they exuded. He was also spending the holiday with family, including 7 brothers and sisters. At 23, he had recently moved back to his parents' 2-story home at 56 Borochov Street in Herzliya, having completed 5 years of army service and seminary study in a program geared to observant Jews. A civilian again, he was now working odd jobs and growing out his black curly hair. He planned to continue living with his parents once he started law school in a few weeks, which in the Israeli university system, more akin to Europe's than the American one, was open to undergraduates. Amir was short and thin, and had the kind of dusky complexion that identified him to other Israelis as Temani, of Yemeni extraction. Among a certain segment of Ashkenazim, those Jews of European origin who regarded themselves as the country's cultural elite, the skin tone suggested inferiority, a stereotype that Amir took great pleasure in disproving. In school and in the army, he showed himself to be smarter and tougher than most of his peers. An IQ test administered years later placed him in the upper tier of intellectual aptitude. He scored 144 on the verbal section. His dark eyes and broad smile, which could be either warm or menacing, made him alluring to women. 2 days earlier, Amir watched the televised handshake between Rabin and Arafat. He decided instantly that the Oslo deal was not just a calamity for Israel, but an act of treason by Rabin. The land he would be